Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I'm going to talk about perspective in this show. Perspective is related to your viewpoints. And in the modern era, we've really lost the ability to appreciate and understand other people's perspectives. This is a generalization I'm fully willing to admit. But let's take politics, for example. People identify themselves as conservatives or liberals, or some variation thereof, whether you're libertarian, whether you're a nationalist, whatever you decide that you are part of. That's basically who you're going to associate with. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's important to get along with people and to find common cause with them. But in the modern day and age, where political affiliations have become so polarizing, at least on the street level, because trust me, at the highest levels, the political parties go to the same fundraisers, they meet the same people, it's all the same. It's all the same pocket, it's all the same hand in the taxpayer's pocket paying for everything. The trick is, down here on the streets, on the ground level, people absorb that perspective as part of their identity. And instead of any form of debate, it has become a hostile encounter when you run across somebody of the opposite, even opposite is the wrong term, but of a differing perspective. Now, first of all, really sit down and look at the political parties. And for the most part, they're milk toast, center of the road parties. There's no Soviets, there's no Nazis. As much as those terms get tossed around, the truth is we're very far from either. We run pretty middle of the ground. And that's because both perspectives do have things to offer. For a little bit of clarity, I'm going to pick on the United States system because it's more well known than anything I could respond, and also having to explain Bloc Québécois, the PPC, and all that would be difficult in my format. So, what we need to look at is what are the two parties espousing? Well, the Democrats, who are theoretically liberals, although they are not liberals, because classical liberalism is closer to what classical liberalism is closer to what the Republicans are proposing. Liberalism means freedom, laissez-faire economics, liberal, freedom. But modern liberals and Democrats are more trying to implement social benefits and structure and welfare. And that's an important thing. When somebody goes to the hospital, I don't want the first thing to be checked to be their credit rating. I want them to get in, get treated, whatever they might have. They should have access to a doctor. It should be a human right. On the other hand, the conservatives or the Republicans are equally important because they are saying we can't just write a blank check. Despite the fact that they're very happy to write blank checks for defense industries, they don't like writing blank checks for civilian infrastructure, for roads, for pipelines, for getting water to people that need it. Look at those poor people in Michigan who had to deal with horrible water line just simply because government inaction. Stuff like that should not happen. But neither party is particularly explosive in their views. Republicans say they're all about family values, but they just had a leader that's multiple-time divorcee, has many children, probably has some out of wedlock if we dug deep enough into it. And yeah, doesn't bother them. They still say they're there for family values. I'm going to skate around this issue, but let's look at abortion. The two sides claim to have different views, and you know what? Both views are important. I believe that a woman should have a right to her own body, but the same token, there is a point where people should be taking a long, hard look at what they're doing. And it's not easy to do. There is pressure on both sides for women to decide what happens with their body, and it's not positive pressure in either way. Keeping a child or losing a child is a very, very difficult decision. And it's one that ultimately the woman has to make for herself. But the two parties are so determined to make it political that it kind of winds up reflecting your perspective instead of your personal self-interest. Your political perspective is important. But trust me, and you know this to be true, neither party embodies it. We all differ from our political parties in many ways. And this is when we have to go back to those three important words that everybody has forgotten in the Western educated, industrialized, rich democracies. And those three words are rational self-interest. You may identify as a conservative or a liberal or some variation thereof, but in your rational self-interest, if the party you support is running a candidate that you personally know is a scumbag, screws everybody over, and will not do anything, it's in your rational self-interest to vote for the other party. But we've lost this in the past couple of years. People are going to vote based on party lines, which is great for the parties. But the parties, while they are trying to win your votes, they're not funded by you. Yes, some of your tax dollars do go to prop them up, but that's the lobbyists that fund them. It's the lobbyists that sit there with their whatever check is legal, whether it's thousands, tens of thousands, or millions, and donate it saying, oh yeah, this is from Pfizer. And why don't you come over to our gala and we're going to present you with a check and you can cut a ribbon and blah, blah, blah. And that politician has to think, Pfizer gave me a lot of money, so I got to remember to vote for them while I'm in Congress. Now the trick is, the lobbyists buy politicians on both sides. That way, no matter who wins, they win. It's been that way for a long time. So the dog and pony show that you are getting is literally that. They're sitting up there, they're, aside from a few hard left or right wingers that are speaking their heart, and they're the ones that usually wind up with not a lot of campaign contributions. But the truth is, they are pretty rare. And it's this total fabrication of an image on the left and on the right for politicians to move forward. After all, you're going to be very sympathetic to somebody who gives you a lot of money. Don't worry, just clearing my throat. It's not the virus. But that's probably the sign that I should end this video. Remember, your perspective is important. And it's important to listen to other human beings and to engage them in constructive, positive debate instead of just yelling at them names and insults. I am friends with people who have different political perspectives than I am, and on occasion we start going into it and listing facts that support our perspective, but we always retain the dignity, the respect for the other person. And on occasion, I learn something. And I hope on occasion I return that favor to the other people. The most important part is your perspective is important, but don't forget your rational self-interest. You're not going to like it very much when they rip up your street to put a new sewer line in. But in your rational self-interest, if they put the sewer line in now, they're not going to have to shut the street down for a year to replace everything because the sewer system started leaking. So it's a small inconvenience now that saves a big inconvenience later. It's called rational self-interest. You not liking somebody's policies and your rational self-interest should make you vote for another party or another person, depending on how independents are in your area. Remember, rational self-interest is not self-interest. Self-interest is, this is my property, I can do what I want with it, and I'm not going to let my neighbor on my property. Rational self-interest is, you know what, I don't like shoveling snow, but my neighbor's a little tiny woman and she's going to do it, and when her kids grow up, hopefully they'll return the favor. Rational self-interest. I really want to push those words home in your mind, but just keep repeating them to yourself and really look at them. What is in your best interest rationally? Because quite often it's not what you think it is. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Buy the books. For ebooks are just 99 cents, less than the cost of a cup of coffee. And we hope you have a fantastic day.